Have you ever wondered who Edmund Burke was and why he matters in today's world? Let's journey back to the 18th century and meet one of the most influential thinkers among contemporary conservatives. Edmund Burke, a name that resonates with political philosophy and intellectual prowess, was born and bred in the heart of Dublin in 1729. Raised in a time of intellectual curiosity, Burke was fortunate to receive an education at Trinity College, one of Ireland's esteemed institutions. There, he immersed himself in the study of classics and history, laying the foundation for his profound understanding of society and politics. Just as many ambitious young men did in the 18th century, Burke then made his way to London to study law, setting his foot on the path that would lead him to become a significant figure in British politics. However, Burke's interest didn't remain confined to law. He found himself drawn towards the literary world, his quill dancing on paper to produce works of criticism and philosophy. His writings were not just mere words, they were a reflection of his understanding of society, culture, and human nature, which later became the bedrock of his political ideology. In 1765, Burke's intellectual journey took a decisive turn when he entered the political arena as a member of Parliament. Imagine him, a man of letters, now amidst the hustle and bustle of politics, articulating his ideas with eloquence and conviction, challenging the established norms, and advocating for progressive change. His political career was not just about gaining power, it was about implementing ideas that would shape society for generations to come. Burke was not just an ordinary man, but a figure who would leave an indelible mark on political thought. His life was a testament to the power of ideas and the influence one person can wield in shaping the world. So as we delve deeper into his life and legacy, remember that Edmund Burke is more than just a name in history books. He is an enigma worth unraveling. Burke was a man of deep political convictions, but what exactly were they? Edmund Burke, the 18th century statesman and philosopher, held political beliefs that were as profound as they were pragmatic. His vision of governance revolved around three core principles: limited government, the preservation of traditional institutions, and a mindful approach to change. First and foremost, Burke was a champion of limited government. He believed that the state's role should be restrained and its power should not infringe upon the liberties of the individual. Burke argued that government should act as a facilitator, not a dictator, providing only the necessary framework for society to thrive. Next, Burke held a deep reverence for traditional institutions. He saw these institutions like the church and the monarchy as pillars of stability in society. They were not just relics of the past but living, breathing entities that provided order and continuity. For Burke, these institutions were crucial in maintaining social harmony and preventing chaos. But perhaps Burke's most defining belief was his skepticism towards radical change. Unlike some of his contemporaries who were swept up in the fervor of revolution, Burke was wary of sudden, dramatic upheavals. Instead, he advocated for gradual, thoughtful change that respected the wisdom of the past while cautiously embracing the future. Burke was not opposed to progress. Rather, he wanted it to be measured and mindful, never reckless or hasty. Finally, Burke placed an enormous emphasis on the role of morality in politics. He believed that a good society was built not just on laws, but on a shared moral compass. For Burke, politics was not a game of power, but a noble endeavor aimed at serving the greater good. These principles, limited government, respect for tradition, cautious progress, and the importance of morality, were not just abstract theories for Burke. They guided his every decision and action, shaping his political career and his vision for society. Burke's political ideals would become the bedrock of what we now consider conservatism. The French Revolution was a turning point in history, but for Burke, it was a cause for concern. As the winds of change swept across France in the late 18th century, Edmund Burke watched with a wary eye. This wasn't the gradual, organic change that he championed. No, this was sudden, radical, and in his view, dangerously unpredictable. The French Revolution marked the end of monarchy and the rise of the people. It was a time of drastic change and upheaval, where the old order was overthrown in favor of new ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. But for Burke, this wasn't a cause for celebration. He feared the chaos and anarchy that could and indeed did follow. Burke was not opposed to change, quite the contrary, but he believed in slow, incremental change, evolved over time. He was skeptical of radical revolutions and the sudden overthrow of established traditions and institutions. He feared that in the rush to tear down the old, the revolutionaries were paving the way for tyranny and disorder. His fears were articulated in his famous work, Reflections on the Revolution in France. Here, Burke voiced his concerns about the revolution's potential to plunge France into chaos. He criticized the revolutionaries for their recklessness, their lack of foresight, and their disregard for the centuries-old traditions and institutions that had shaped French society. In Burke's view, the revolution was a dangerous experiment, driven by abstract theories rather than practical wisdom. He warned that the revolutionary fervor, if unchecked, could lead to the destruction of the very fabric of society. So, while the French Revolution was a turning point in history, for Burke, it was a stark warning about the dangers of radical change. His cautionary tale about the revolution, its chaos, and the potential for anarchy that can result from sudden drastic change, is a message that still resonates today. Burke's cautionary tale of the French Revolution still echoes today in discussions about societal change. Burke passed away in 1797, but his ideas continue to shape our world. Often hailed as the father of modern conservatism, Burke's philosophical musings on tradition, order, and gradual change have become foundational tenets of conservative thought globally. His wisdom didn't end with his life. Instead, it was passed down through generations, influencing the path of political ideologies and shaping the course of nations. Burke's reverence for tradition was more than mere nostalgia. He believed that the customs and institutions refined over generations provided a stable foundation for society. This idea resonated with conservatives who saw value in preserving established social orders rather than pursuing radical change. Today, this principle continues to guide conservative policymaking, underpinning a preference for evolutionary rather than revolutionary change. In the realm of politics, Burke's influence is far-reaching. His ideas have been adopted by conservative movements worldwide, providing intellectual sustenance to political leaders and thinkers. Two such figures who were profoundly influenced by Burke's ideas were Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady of Britain, and Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States. Thatcher, Britain's first female prime minister, was known for her staunch conservative policies. She often quoted Burke in her speeches, drawing on his wisdom to justify her political decisions. Likewise, Reagan, whose presidency was marked by a resurgence of American conservatism, admired Burke's thought. He too referred to Burke's principles to articulate his political vision. But Burke's influence isn't confined to the past. His ideas continue to resonate in contemporary political discourse. His belief in the importance of moral order, the value of tradition, and the necessity of gradual change continue to inspire conservative thought leaders and policymakers. Burke may be gone, but his legacy continues to shape our political landscape. His ideas, woven into the fabric of modern conservatism, continue to echo in the corridors of power, reminding us of the enduring relevance of this 18th-century philosopher-statesman. His insights into society, politics, and human nature continue to light the way, offering guidance to those navigating the complex terrain of modern politics. In today's fast-changing world, can we still find relevance in Burke's ideas? One might ponder this, considering the rapid pace of transformation we witness every day. But interestingly, the answer is a resounding yes. Burke's ideas, though formulated in the 18th century, continue to be strikingly pertinent in today's society. Burke's ideas around the role of government, for instance, still hold weight. His belief in a government that serves as a custodian of societal values rather than an agent of radical change resonates with many. In an age where the push and pull between progress and tradition is more potent than ever, Burke's caution against hasty reform and his emphasis on evolutionary rather than revolutionary change is a guiding principle for many policymakers. Consider also the debates around societal change. Burke's emphasis on gradual change, as opposed to abrupt shifts, is echoed in many contemporary discussions. Whether it's about technological advancements, social movements, or political reforms, the idea of slow and steady progress finds its roots in Burkean thought. His insistence on weighing the potential outcomes before embarking on any significant change is a lesson that echoes in our ears even today. Then there's the importance of tradition. In a world that often seems to be hurtling towards the future at breakneck speed, Burke's respect for the wisdom of the past and the value of inherited institutions provides a counterpoint. His ideas serve as a reminder that while we strive for innovation and progress, we must also value and preserve the lessons and legacies of the past. So, despite the centuries that separate us from Burke's time, his ideas continue to reverberate in our society. They are reflected in our political discourse, our social debates, and our approach to change. More than 2 centuries after his death, Burke's ideas continue to inspire, challenge, and provoke. He is indeed a figure for the ages.